Evening out there, retro fans. Back again on the ZX Next, still for the foreseeable future. Many weeks ahead of us for ZX Next. Today we're going to take a look at PED 7G's I guess coding example, which is the first time I've taken the time to look at it. I briefly got it running on my system before I came online. It looks awesome. Going to learn a lot from it. And then depending how that goes, I've been doing a little bit of work on reshaping our current project into a smaller one. I'm going to rip off Wonderboy next. I'm halfway through doing that. And there's some interesting things I've found in the sprite sheet. A sort of way of optimizing the usage of the sprites, reusing the head. So we've got a lot to do. Just going to try and find the right window. Here we go. And of course it didn't find VS Code either. It used to always find VS Code no matter what project I was in. But now it seems to worry about the exact name of the window. Oh, interesting. Not showing up. Build.bat. There it is. Rightio. So what I did was I downloaded SpecBong from, in fact I'll get you the link in a moment. There we go. Yeah, so in case you want to follow along, that's the exact link to the project. Made by PED 7G as it says. But I've added my build and run.bat. And I changed just slightly to SpecBong.asm. There is some instruction in the assembly file telling you how to compile it with SJASM here, but that would involve me putting it onto the SD card somehow. I'm not familiar with that, so I did it the way I know. Yeah, the first thing we're going to do is just have a nice look at it because it looks awesome. I mean, yeah, the graphics aren't the very best, but the gameplay looks awesome. And it's funny because I was actually talking about making Donkey Kong Jr. Let's see, why is that not appearing in... Oh, it is. There we go. So it's actually filling only the inner screen. I'm not sure the official name for that. Like the ULA original screen or whatever they call it. And I think I've got it set to no sound on C-Spec. I'm not quite sure it's quite as refined as the real Donkey Kong, which came out in 1982. Because, see here, there's two boulders. Well, actually, they're pretty dead on. But, I don't know, it seems too smooth, maybe, compared to the original. But, I've played the original quite a lot. It is a game I've always wanted to reproduce, but I didn't really know how. I'm going to get the high score here. Oh god, I tried to go up that ladder. Yeah, see, I don't see boulders coming down the ladders in this version. That's what's missing, I think. you know what? If I get enough skill at reading the assembly, I might try and add that feature myself. But you know, don't hold your breath on that. There we go. That's the first time I've ever played it, and I've completed the first level. Oh, it just restarts you at the start again. So it's just an example game, really. Made by Ped. He's been a massive help to me on the channel. And he liked me to try it out, he said, which I'm more than happy to oblige. Look at that, it's cool. It's a cool game. It's a little bit too hard. Can't seem to get up that ladder. That's part of the fun though, isn't it? I'm going to go until I die, see what score I can get. Oh, and there we go. Okay, I swear I didn't die on purpose there. But so, we may well, you know, look through this, struggle and give up, but at least we're having our first look. It all looks to be in one assembly file. The sprites seem to be some sort of binary. I've heard of the SPR, but I don't know what the contents of that look like. Sure, yeah, we're not going to see anything doing that, but let's see if we can actually pick out anything that we recognise here. Alright, so here we start. It looks like a very well documented. I mean, I must admit I'm bypassing most of the comments here. But it seems that every instruction is commented. Random seed. Oh, load AR. I thought that didn't work in this. Rand 16. It's not actually, it looks horribly big, but it's not actually that big if you think about it for one long file. I think our projects would be a lot longer than this if we were to put it all in one file. A lot more repeated code probably is the cause of that. So we've got a set palette in our game. I obviously don't remember my set palette, but that looks remarkably similar. That's a strange bit of syntax there, isn't it? I think that's a bug with the editor. Nothing you can do about that. I think you can use that instead. Someone was telling me. Emook, I think. So anyway, how does this work? Well, we disable interrupts. Okay, I'm sure it'd work. I bet you it'll work if we comment that out. But let's have a look. Let's just try it. I mean, it seems to work fine. As far as I know, the disabling interrupts stops the internal frame counter. And stops, I don't know what it stops, to be honest, actually. But yeah, it's a fun game to play. So he loads a random number into the A. Good day to you, Micro. How are you doing, mate? Just having a little look at SpecBong by Ped. Of course, it's really hard to follow. I'm on like line 3 really, in real terms here. Looks like he's turning it into a 16-bit random number just by the name of the... Period, I guess, means range. But you know, Ped's taken a lot of time out to help us, and he said it would be useful to do this live. It's nice to give a shout out to his content as well. So here we have a load of labels. I guess a lot of the confusion is actually just that he writes it slightly differently to me. Like, I'm probably wrong. I don't think there's particularly a right or wrong answer, but yeah, massive thank you to Ped. But I guess my little internal syntax is that I do that only for a routine. Like if it's what I would call a variable, I don't do that. I have no semicolon or no colon, and I put it all on one line. But it's totally just preference that. Ladders count. Ladders data. Cool. It's very deep, in depth. It's hard to follow for the noob like us. This bit's fine, I can follow this. This is probably a very useful bit. We seem to have all the next reg indexes named. And then he looks like he's put the number there as well, because I recognise 69. In fact, I recognise 7 from ours. We use 3, don't we? So if we actually put it to 3, it should speed up the game according to that comment. Well, it doesn't seem much faster to me. There should be a way of coming up with some sort of delta time mechanism by using the frame counter. But I'm damned if I know the answer just yet. See, I can sort of see where Emuk's coming from, where he had all his written like that, and I went to the trouble of starting to name them, and Emuk's philosophy was it's better to just learn the numbers, and I can sort of see where he's coming from, but I wonder why he's written to this 4 times in a row here. Oh, is that the clipping register? Yeah, it is. Okay. So I do like having the names like this, but at the moment the names don't mean anything to me, that's all. But I tend to have to go and look this up in the documentation every time to find it out. Yeah, both are correct, that's right. I mean, I guess I'm just rabbiting because I don't really know how this code works. I mean, I get all this so far. He's doing them next wedges. That's setting up the clipping for the sprites, the layer 2. Set right in it. Not sure if we do that in our code. Might need to. That might be some sort of like initialization thing that we're getting away with not using. One C. I can't remember if we use that. See the comment. Yeah, I see what it does. I'm pretty sure we just went ahead and done that without using that, but I might be wrong. Because in ours we've got a macro that does these in chunks. That does that, and then that, and then that. With 3D. Well, we don't actually use that. We purposely avoided that just to save on the complication. See SpecBong. Oh, up here you mean? Ah, do you know what? I was having trouble with that as well, wasn't I? Trying to understand why they were getting drawn over the border. So maybe there was a bug that I actually encountered without knowing it. I think I gave up with it in the end. Right, so init UI is going to be quite an interesting one to look at. Basically just setting a load of next wedges again. Do the clear screen. I like all these constants, innit? I should try and get my head around using all these. It'd be good to have them named exactly like this. The reason being, you'd be able to work on projects with people like Ped easier. You know, you could pull in their code. It would match up with your own constants. This OR thing still confuses me. That confuses me even more. I don't know what the chevron does. I know what it does in C++, kind of. That's obviously, I would say that's some sort of SJASM thing that I haven't even heard of. 7.3. Oh, is that telling it that it's 3 bits? Because it's a colour. I would guess that's what it is. That's saying it's 7. And it's only 3 bits. But it's a complete guess. Alright, so clears the screen. Tells you. Alright, well I get how that works, kind of. Black. Well, that's 0. I think that means shift left 3 bits. That's clever as well, being able to do that. And I'm pretty sure that's what it's doing. Refresh UI. Cut that to. That blows my mind how that works. He just loads the register. Oh, and jumps to there. I was going to say, I thought he was jumping back to the... Oh, look at this. Have you seen this micro? Have you ever seen that before? I've seen it before, but I didn't know it could be used like that. So he's managed to reuse. You can reuse. He's basically got a local label there. That's local to this, as far as I could tell. I wonder if you could have refresh crap. Load a naught. Dot custom ix. See, normally you'd think that would throw an error, wouldn't you? When you try and compile that. And there has been times in my code where I've wanted to be able to use the same label name. I've ended up having to prefix it with a big name to avoid a naming conflict. Yeah, it looks fine. No errors, no warnings. Oh, okay. So he's jumped straight to there. That's another good little thing. Figures if I learn too many things like this at once, I'll just forget loads of it. But the chevron, I really hope I'm correct, but that I'm saying is shifting left 8 times. Which is bloody clever, isn't it? Being able to do that. Cabbage rolls. Nice one, Micro. Yeah, appreciate you jumping in, man. Whenever you can. I mean, that's bloody clever if you can do that. Shifting 8. Because I've been doing that in code. That's another thing I've got to ask Ped about, or Emook, is defining. I've noticed you can define a byte at runtime. You know, we're doing that for the breakpoint and for the ESX DOS. I'm just wondering, could that be done with levels? Like you could just define the size of the level as you load it, not before. You know, not at compile time. But that's another thing to try and remember to ask. Broken down into small bits like this, it doesn't look so scary, does it? You know, it's just knowing how. I want to try and see the main update loop here, how the whole thing ticks. Here we go, game loop. Not really sure how that works, but trying to look at it now. I think I'll just quickly look that up on SJASM, see if I can glean any info. some sort of pre-compiler thing, isn't it? I remember we had this thought before where could we use it as an if statement, but I think it's only for pre-known stuff at start. Oh, there's no definition for that. So I would guess none of it's happening. Pretty goofball arrangement there by me, I think. But now I can see the ones that are called. Game root based things. So this would probably be what I would call in my code just update. We've got a different waiting for scan line here. Sounds the same on the description. .303b, okay, we've seen that a lot of times. He's like opening up the sprite port for writing to or something like that. There's two purposes for that. One is to update the actual sprite attributes, and the other is to initialize the sprite hardware to load the sprites too. Which is what he's doing here by the sounds of it. Select 0. That looks a little bit different to how we do it, tiny bit. We use a page. We have to load a page number, I think, and then a memory address, like C000, where it starts, where the sprite data begins on our page memory. Then that's just 57, yeah, 57. Okay, yeah, he's done it slightly different to us. OTIR twice. Let's just for fun compare that to our one then. I've actually started a new project today as well. I haven't got anywhere on it at all. I think I copied in the existing stuff, so we can just load that. Sprite tools. Oh yeah, we do choose 0 there. Let's change that to XOR, innit? Just OTIR once. Do you know what? Let's use dot loop. Ah, do we have to do sprites init.loop here then? I don't know what I'm doing anyway. This is not this is just a copy of it. Let's not edit it. There's also this. So here's what I was talking about. This is in the game loop, he's doing this. Three oh three B. Trying to figure out where next reg. Actually, it's not next reg. BC. 57. I see. So that's sprite attribute uploading. No, that's 3.4. We used 5.6. That's the. Oh, it depends on what page you're on. And bank. So that's bank 6, page 14, and he must be using bank 7. Oh, hello, Ped. How are you doing, mate? I'm reviewing your tutorial. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, because actually, if I changed my code here to be on page 7, slot 7, bank 7 even, I would have to use 5.7 there, I think. I remember doing that. I only learnt that from trial and error. Let's close down my code anyway and not save it. So yeah, I've managed to pick little bits out that I recognise. I couldn't really figure out the reason for 2 of them either, rather than 1. But it doesn't matter too much, does it? I guess that's because of the way you're doing it, slightly different. Could potentially be because it's in this SPR file. Ah, okay. So do you think mine's only doing half of the memory then? Because I've only got it once. Oh no, it's not, because we load BC with a whole number that goes down, you know. So B won't. Oh, then again, it's going to still decrement B, isn't it? You missed it, but I got a pretty high score on your game as well, Ped. It's well fun to play. I love the original Donkey Kong. What I just said a moment ago, but I now know that I'm never going to be able to do it, but I'm going to try, would be to make the snowballs, as they're called, go down the ladders sometimes. Because I didn't notice them ever doing that. Check recording. Oh, there's nothing too important to check back on, really. Oh, the score. It wasn't that good. It was about 5 or 6 grand. I think I got up the top. Well, maybe just once actually. But I jumped over a lot of these buggers. Delete. By the way, I've got sound disabled on SpecBong. I used to be pretty ace at Donkey Kong. It's all about having patience, that game. Tiny bit of skill in the timing. They don't use the ladders, yeah. So it would be nice to add that. That would prove that I could understand the code enough to add to it, which would I'd be pretty impressed if I manage it, but you know, I don't actually expect myself to manage it, but I'm going to have a crack at it this evening. Come on, I just want to make it twice and then that'll do. I love it how sometimes he doesn't turn around when he jumps. It's just like the real game. You need Santa up there going mental, throwing stuff at you. He should be throwing the snowballs. Then that kind of implies we're robbing him though, and it's not very child friendly all of a sudden. It's fun though. I'm addicted. Didn't die on purpose, honestly. Ah, there's no sound in SpecBong. That's okay then, because I've got it disabled. Because like at the start of the video, I was saying I set it up with my own run.bat just to get it using HDF Monkey and all that. It was really easy. I just changed SpecBong on one thing there, I think. Fair enough. The way I thought of it before I looked at your code was, well, you're detecting the collision somehow with the player on the ladder. So there must be a way of doing it with the ball as well, but who knows? Who knows? At the moment, yeah, I didn't even get to the point to see how a snowball was working yet. Yeah, I doubt I'll get it working, because like when I look at my own code, it's hard enough, but when I'm looking at someone else's, it's like whoa. I get little bits of it, but not all of it, you know. That's a label. These I love this local label system. Like you can reuse them labels, can't you? You can look for precise position only right above it. Okay. Surely you could just offset that, couldn't you? When you do the look. I'm just using my new brain here again. Good roll of smoke. I've got some cool ideas for my own code as well, although I've forgotten half of them now, but they'll come back to me again. I'm loving this local label thing. There's been loads of times where I've added a whole prefix just because I didn't want to have a naming conflict. Yeah, I bet it does. It already has. There's been 3 things I'm trying to remember from this, but unfortunately I can only remember this labeling system now. I've forgotten what the other 2 things were. I should have wrote them down. Oh, the other thing was the chevrons. Does that mean shifting to the left? The bits in a constant on SJASM. Where is it? Here. Okay, thanks, Ped. I really appreciate it, mate. So the two things I've picked up on right away that I like and I can hopefully use in the immediate future. The chevron, so it actually shifts it, yeah? That's incredible. I've written whole routines that have to shift it in a register just to do that. I notice you're only doing it with constants, I think. Can't do that with a variable, obviously. Or a register value. But loads of times I could have used that. Particularly on the colours like you've used it. So there's that one. The local labels, I hope I got that correct as well. Looks like it, I have. You could reuse that label. So we got game loop, that's where I was looking. Game loop, there we go. I'll keep it there so I can keep looking back. Snowball AI, right. I have to check everything. Sprite snowballs. Must be a final value for producing machine code. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Damn, the other thing flashed into my head, yeah. Oh yeah, that was the one last thing that I was going to ask you, and it's not really related to your project actually, but I noticed on our breakpoint macro and the ESX DOS that we define data at runtime, like it defines a byte to make a breakpoint. Oh, that's still done at flipping assembly time though, isn't it? Yeah, okay, I get it. Because what I was thinking was having a level data area and then loading from the disk and having one bit of the data tell it how big it was going to be, you know? So you wouldn't actually have to know how big it was going to be. Each level could change size. But it's a bit advanced, it's not worth worrying about that just yet. Okay, so yeah, you've got, it's looking at the first snowball sprite there, I take it. That's one of the attributes. I'm trying to hover it and see its value. Oh, it's a struct. X byte 0. Is byte the same as dB? Because it's normally def byte, isn't it? Def B. That jumped about. It's all about them snowballs right now, what we've got to be interested in. I see. I understand. Yeah. So it's a struct. It's not a macro, is it? A struct, or is it? Maybe it's a type of one. Gives me a whole new level of respect for you guys. You can just read other people's code just like that. Data load macro. Okay, yeah. Okay, sure thing, sure thing. Because I totally get macro. It literally copies and pastes what's there into your code and does nothing more. Look, get platform position under. Okay. So no attribute for, no relative sprites, no mirror, magnification or whatever it is. One of them things. Awesome. What I'm majorly interested in here is trying to understand it well enough to adapt it in some way. Like I don't want to completely copy the sprite loading functions just yet. So it's hmm. So this is intended to look at the platform below the snowball. So like you say, it might not be too trivial to detect whether there's a ladder. My first instinct would be to maybe have the ladder struct or whatever, however that's set up. Let's have a look at the ladders. But if we can tell that ladder that it's got a ladder, tell that platform that it's got a ladder in it, then when we check it, we could find out when we do that check, is that bit set? And if it is, it's got a ladder there. But yeah, at the moment, I don't know enough about this. Search through the ladder list. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of words ladder. But if you think about it, right, you've already got the platform set up, and they're all fixed size. The ladder's always in the center of the platform. Like somewhere one bit could be used on the in the ladder data, or the platform data, I should say. No, sorry, not ladder data. Because if we were searching through the list, I don't know, it seems like you're already doing that by looking at the platform. Platform collision data. It is done like that. Okay, interesting. See, I'm not as thick as I seem sometimes. Sometimes I get things right, but not very often. Normally half right, at the best. So at first glance they all look the same, but they're not actually, are they? They are slightly different each time. That tells you here how what the format is, kind of. It's really fun to look through this. I mean, I know that I'm such a novice, I would do lots of this stuff in a completely different way. This is like honed skills. That's what it appears to be to me. Bit 1 means +2 in the flag byte. Alright, okay. Okay. Let's take another look at the game and see how just to watch a snowball roll along them platforms. I want to see how detailed the collision is. Very detailed, look. Per pixel, it seems to be. Excellent. What is this? Jump Y-offs. Is that what they call a jump table? Where it's like it applies that per frame in order. Maybe it is. Up, down by that offset. I see, yeah. Because of course up is a negative number. So it goes up 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. And then it starts, oh, and then it goes up again. And then eventually it starts coming down here. Strange how it doesn't go down as many times as it goes up. Probably got that wrong, what I just said. They're probably done in X and Y's. Pairs. Ah, fall offs. Yeah, I see. And that's why you've done that. I see. I see. Ah, well done. I see. Very clever. So you can have an infinite full if need be. Maybe. By the looks of it. Whoa. Looks very, very detailed. I've managed to glean 3 bits of decent syntax off it at the very least that I didn't know about. Do next snowball. Oh, that's like go to the next one. That doesn't mean spawn a snowball, I don't think. It says if it's not visible, skip it. Alright, so it literally takes the platform's position and sub 16. That's how it snaps to the height of the platform. So it rolls exactly on the top of it. How long did it take you to make this ped? I bet it was super quick, wasn't it, for you? Looks like it handles joystick. 3 weeks, fair enough. Oh, it's in the repo history, of course. I'm not like that au fait with Git, like getting the detail, all the detail. I'm not even very good with rolling back. I get sometimes into bother doing that. As a failsafe, I tend to zip the most recent one if I'm going to try and do a rollback. I guess my problem is that I try and take some shortcuts. You know, I don't read every word of documentation. I skip a lot of it. Occasionally it pays off, but quite often it doesn't. I mean, aside from what we were just talking about here on this SpecBong project, I've also been working on replacing and downsizing the Caveman Ninja game. And in true Retrocoder TV style, I robbed more sprites from Spriter's resource, and I've been trimming them out and putting them into Emooks tool. But look, if you look, the head is always the same. Yeah, Wonderboy, innit? I thought, sod it, might as well. Because that fits, look at the size of the sprite there, it's nice. Everything fits into the 32 by 32, which would be more than okay. But then I noticed we could just use the head and only animate that. We only want the top line. The rest of it's like some special stuff like attack and, you know, damage. We're going to put that in at a later date. But these up at the top. We've got, as far as I can tell, we've got 2 idle frames. 1, 2. And then these 4 here are the walking. So that'll be a good start. I mean, I could probably crack straight on with that tonight because I'd at least know where I am with my code. Back into SpecBong. And yeah, like I say, I've learnt 3 things out of this, or especially 2: the chevrons and the dot label for a local label. They're 2 really important skills. But yeah, I don't know where to start with like editing this in any way or doing anything to it really. Ah, yeah. I was thinking of using maybe the composite type, is it called, where it's like, let's take a look back at Wonderboy here. Now, I can see his arm is in a different spot. So let's say, I'm looking at these 2 here, by the way, yeah? Right there. Yeah. Sometimes it grays around the selection, sometimes it doesn't, it's weird. Yeah, I'm just beginning to learn them, Ped. Just having a play with them. And, you know, I've got my way working. I think they're called... It's either composite or unified, isn't it? Or is that the same thing? I think the two types are composite and unified. And I'm still at the stage where I don't know whether I've used composite or unified. I can't really remember. I mean, obviously when I was doing it, I knew because I had the documentation right in front of me. You have to set 1 bit differently. But if you look at this skateboarder dude, this body, excluding the arm, could be this, like this. Could be the main sprite. So this one here. And then this would be just the hammer. So that arm I just rubbed out would be a separate sprite. And then it would get replaced with that one. I mean, that wouldn't really be great on this game, but if it was a game like an RPG where you always had different weapons and you could get a different helmet or whatever else, that would be really useful. So I think that's called composite sprites. We will be looking at them soon because I kind of have my head around them already. You can't record a word in either, that's fair. That's it. So I think the latter unified sprites was what I was just talking about there, basically. This would be a unified relative of this. And then you draw them both, you know, when you are holding a weapon. And that's pretty straightforward stuff. We can look at that pretty soon. Like, well, probably not tonight, but tomorrow. If I hadn't have got... Oh, that's UI stuff down there. If I hadn't got too waylaid, then I might have been able to do that now, but yeah, so what I'll do is I'll leave SpecBong so I can review it again, because I don't know anything jumping out at me to ask you about it. I kind of understand like each instruction on a line by line basis, but when you add it all together, have you noticed this here? I take it that's just the highlighter misbehaving. Syntax highlighting. Is there? Excellent, man. It's massively helpful stuff. Seeing how proper coders do it, you know, with who know everything about the hardware. So I did start a project called Wonderboy, but I started importing the sprites, and I think I've done it wrong because there's already some duplicates there. What we really want to do is use just the head. Just the head for now. And the head wants to remain unchanged. But I've already got all this pre-written code that I copied in. I guess I can probably just adapt it. Of course, here's the sprite drawing code. It initializes all the relatives. Let's not get rid of that for now. Let's just draw just the one. See him there. So 4 of them make up a Wonderboy. Got 12 so far. And luckily, the way the spectrum works, or the next works, and this is the way I've got it working. There might well be a better way, but I've uploaded or I've initialized the sprite using that 303B. Thought I did. Oh no, I've replaced that with next 34 instead. But like I say, we set up all the relatives one time, and then we only have to move the anchor, which is so we'll just be doing that every frame, and the relatives follow along with it. So all I've got to do is specify less anchors. I still want this one. Yes, it's so smooth the way they've made that. It really is. Because you can see this one's now surplus to requirements. Let's get rid of it. And then this one's going to be called R2. This is only for our notes anyway. And I also want that one. R3. Wobble relatives. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. So you could go in and write more and change the offset, is what you're saying there, maybe to wobble it about. Because this number here is a pixel offset, so that's going. That's why that's one below, because it goes down 16 lines. Obviously, I know you know that, Ped, but I'm just saying in case anyone doesn't know. And the way the sprite memory works is you write into that to say what sprite you're writing into. Then you write your X low byte into that, your Y byte into that one. This one's called attribute 2 because it's a mixture of stuff. You have to look it up. Mainly it's the, I forget actually. Maybe the palette actually. And I had it written down somewhere. Where did I put it? Sprite tools. No, that's where it should be. Oh yeah, I am doing that. I was just looking up. Yeah, so this is our pattern relative bit. So for relatives, you actually want to do that. It makes it a lot easier. That's why it's set. Yeah, let me finish this off then. So I've done art3. I've changed it to that. I haven't changed any of the data or the values. But then we don't need any of these relatives now. That was too much for the next to have 9 per character. So Ped's saying there is room for improvement here. I'll try and understand it. I mean, luckily for me, I understand this. But I'll wait, because there's a bit of a delay. I'll wait here a second. Is the writing big enough, yeah? The writing looks pretty small, actually. I'm gonna live with it being bigger for you guys on phones. Okay. Let's try and take that on board then. Wait there. Yeah, it's true. It's finding a balance between learning and keeping within reaching distance, if you know what I mean. If it gets too much, then it's like you end up just starting again with a blank page because you can't understand your own code. So I'll keep that in the locker of my mind that there is a way of optimizing it, and it's got something to do with 7.9. It rings a bell, that 7.9. I think I use it somewhere else, but oh well. Relative 1, pattern 1. So that's okay. Relative 2. We need to be pattern 2. So it's not okay. Oh no, I do apologise. I've been muted talking to myself for ages. Thanks for telling me, Ped. Oh, that's what happens when I get too many screens open. I must have hit F2, my mute button. Not sure why I hit that, but thank you for letting me know. So yes, I've just deleted them constants and it wants two of them in player.asm. Oh, that's just to animate him. We're not actually ready to animate right now with this new sprite data. So let's just do nothing there. Ah, yeah, cheers, Ped. I would have been there all night just chatting to myself otherwise. Okay, so we at least see the guy's head. The collision detection's out of sync as well because we hard coded that separately to the you know, with a separate value. Wonder why we only saw his head. If I comment out all of the relatives, I think we should see only half of his head, which proves that yeah, we do. So that proves it is working with the one, you know, relative one, I think I called it. Oh, the slots are a bit funny, but I don't think that'll matter. Oh, it did. Okay. So they have to be consecutive slots as well with relatives by the looks of it. It would be a very simple task, just fix that collision detection. I'm kind of thinking about the animation here though. And not wasting loads of data or as little data as I can. You can't see it, of course, but when I copied these in, they've both include the head. So you only need 4, yeah. The rest of them we haven't used yet. It'll be these two that's the head again, won't it? So that's the head, and then these three are actually what we want to animate here between. It has got to be a train, okay. That's easy enough to remember. Right, that makes sense. Becomes an anchor otherwise, I see. I'm pretty sure with that to go into that what we just mentioned, one of these bits, and I'd love to know which one it was. Forgotten right now, but one of these is um, telling the hardware that it's a relative, or in fact it's in the anchor, isn't it? It tells it that it's got relatives. No, I think it is on the relative. Oh, I don't know. Let's go back to what I was doing. What I'm actually doing here is trying to come up with a way of naming, writing constants. So the head is 0 and 1. These names are now bullshit, you know, crap. Let's just call it head 1. Head 2. Head count. So these are all measured in patterns. And the first two are idle animations. So yes, 0 and 1 is just a head, but then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are the next, they make up the idle animation. I'm not even going to bother putting start. I'll just comment it. So he starts at 0, 1, 2. The next one is a 4-frame animation for running. Idle's only 2 frames. Each frame has 2 patterns. So my maths is absolutely awful, but basically idle starts at 2. The next frame starts 4, 5. So this will be 6. Of course, they're all 2 in size. There's 4 of them. I guess we really need like the frame counts for each one as well. Frame count doesn't care about how many patterns there are in a frame. It just cares about how many frames you see visibly, you know, on the screen. To make up, if you were flicking through a flick book, how many pages would it need? So idle. Don't want it to be like a mega long name. Idle's only 2 again. But run is actually 4. Unfortunately, we can't do run right now because I haven't imported all the sprites. I've only done a few of them. Won't take that long to cut them out, but it's not that quick either. But we can do the idle. We've got idle right now. That was animate walk. See, idling is actually quite a difficult thing. Hello, Camuno. Nice to meet you, my dude. Appreciate you saying hi. Oh, damn. I've distracted myself as well. I was about to do something. Oh, yeah. That was it. I've got a thing here for idle. I'm sure. Yeah, look, here. If I stick to my existing code, this will tell us that we're idle. But all I did before was a fixed frame there. Let's instead just call a routine that we'll write now. I'm just being super lazy now. Okay. It will be much like this. We can use the animation timer. So what we're doing there is just resetting that to 0. I'm not really sure why we have this here. Oh, we haven't even got idle just yet. The reason I said I'm not sure why we do that there is because we actually have a switch statement above, checking what state we're in, but then we're checking here to make sure we're in that state again, but it's not really needed. Why not? I'm just going to copy this in and adapt it. So I cache my value and I call it attribute 3, and if you read the next sprite hardware documentation, that's what they call it on there. So that's why I've done that. I've found that's helped me a lot by not naming that anything fancy. Just matches the docs now. We'll mask out them 2 bits. That's because they get added here. That's a demented way of doing it, but it worked for me at the time. So all we're doing here is just setting them 2 bits back, and that's not right anyway. That's making now I mean, we're only going to call this when it is visible anyway, but that's now making it visible even if we didn't want it to be. Same with the extra byte. It's being set there, so you have to know that they're going to be wanting to be 1s. Let's leave it. I know it works anyway in this current setup. Yeah, so this is where it's wrong now. It needs adapting. We want to get... We want to find out where the last idle one starts. That's where that is. I'm sure I had another one for size. Body size. it's not the best name, but I'll just comment it to make it clearer. Okay, so I think that's fine. Player set the default frame. What's this about? Basically, it wants to be set back to there. Probably not the cleanest way of doing it again, but can worry about the names and that another time. Right. Ah, that's going to jump to there, so none of this is going to happen. I probably need to add them again. See what I did down here. Oh, I didn't do that down there though. Interesting. Huh. I wonder how that didn't be. You'd think he'd be getting set to being invisible by doing that. Oh look, that's adding it both as well. Uh, unclear why I'm adding sprite segments there. Let's have a quick look. I actually think that's overcomplicated as well there. It should probably be. I'm not even sure if you can do double brackets in this, but give it a try. But sprite segments doesn't exist. And what that used to represent was the number of segments in a sprite. Ah, yeah. I'm surprised that even worked with that there. Ah, yeah, I get it. It's moving it forward the required amount of segments. So if we're at the maximum amount of segments, we jump back to the start. But if not, it'll just ignore that and add on the amount of segments we need. So we just want size there. Which, if you remember, we commented was size in segments. The attribute 3 just puts these 2 bits back that we masked out earlier. Okay, a table might make sense. Yeah, that does sound good. What we'll do is we'll try and get this working, but you've just given me a much better option. Because this is like a very messy approach. When you've got lots of different animations, you've got quite a lot of calculation to do here in your head and different constants to write down. Whereas you could just write a table with values telling it what frame to choose at what time. So I'll do that next. I just want to see it working now at this stage because I've been here quite a while. At least see him walk through them 2 idle steps. And I believe it's ready to go now. I hate that file name because we're setting it to the idle. It's not working, but I think although it says there's a reference, oh, there is a reference to that, yeah. Oh, really? Do you reckon? I was really liking the relative. Although I guess it can become more confusing in a way with the table. Might be easier just to hard code exactly what. I mean, you can see what pattern number is what, can't you? You can label it as such, or comment it, or whatever. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, but that's not too bad. But I do see what you're saying, actually. Yeah, I do see what you're saying because I'm not starting it from. Well, luckily, yeah, the anchor's at 0, so it's all by the by in this particular example, isn't it? Because if I start from 0 with the anchor, I think it doesn't matter whether it's relative or not. Tables, yeah, I do like the sound of that. Was you ever watching on the Spiky in Space when I'd done the flight paths? At first, I was dead against doing the tables. I couldn't figure it out in my head. And then after I somehow got an idea of how to do it, just out of nowhere, like some people did help me, but just little ideas. And then I made it, and then I thought to myself, God, that's so much easier than trying to calculate each frame a direction. vector, you know, to get it on a sine wave or whatever, and we could custom make any wave we wanted just by putting numbers in there. It was really easy. So we might be able to do something like that. So this reads the current pattern. Just wondering why it never... Does it ever reach there? Nah, see, it never reaches there. Alright. Wonderboy idle. Plus... Oh, that's meant to be times. It still doesn't. It's not meant to be times. Let's delete that and put it... Think about it again. So we have pattern IDs in attribute 3, and they relate to every one of these is a pattern. Data driven stuff is also easier to delegate some minion. Yeah, the other good thing about data is actually it does give potential of creating external tools, doesn't it, to create rather than coding it. And then that means something might be able to create an output for you eventually in some clever, unexpected way. Yeah, I am. Yeah, it gets mixed up to me. Sometimes I just make it work and I don't even know how sometimes, you know. Bodies with a YS. Yeah, so we want him to start on this one, which is, it says 3, but it's not. 0, 1, 2. So that's pattern 2. And that's pattern 4. So let's just do CP4. Add 2. It seems correct to me, that. It was probably this bit that was wrong. Let's give it a try. No, it still doesn't get there. So it's not even reaching this point. Let's just whack one in there. No. Oh, we don't set the state to idle, look. How stupid am I? We'll just set it here for now. All right. Oh, his head turned into the other legs. So we got it. It kind of worked. It loaded another frame, just in the wrong place. Where's animate gone? So this is exactly what Ped was talking about. I wasn't able to foresee it until I run into the problem myself, finally. Yeah, the head is previous legs. Okay, thank you. Because of course we're changing the attribute free. That's the anchor. I think what I'd do to fix that is make the legs the anchor. Hmm. Do you know that would have the added bonus of sorting the collision detection out as well for when we hit the floor. Slovak legs on the head movie. Gotta hear that. Or at least tell us the movie. Yo, micro, by the way. So I'm kind of thinking about the anchor being there, but I don't want to do that. And the reason is I want to figure out to get it working like it is first. But these are working with relative sprites. Here you see I'm loading the anchor and we've got attribute 3 set there. These are hard coded. So we either have to make bytes like that for each relative. I mean, this doesn't need it, the head. Finally, everything has become as it should be. Where the head was, the butt popped. That's funny, man. I had a Romanian mate, and he said in his country, like, they don't swear like in England we call people dickheads and whatever else. He said they don't really do that over there. They say stuff like your mum goes in back alleys with sailors and stuff, and like real like graphic stuff. Says that's how you translate what my language. So the way I'm gonna fix this is I'm gonna have a byte for this. Bit of a pain though. Yeah, because I always think of that quote as well, Micro, at the same time as the memory of the other guy. They were so similar, but he was completely serious. You know? I don't think he'd even heard of Red Dwarf. So it'd be nice and easy to make an attribute free here. Relative, well, it's relative to, but it's basically legs 1. But the problem with doing that is we use this a lot to set him invisible or whatever. We'll have to make sure that it syncs them up now. Well, actually, no, we won't have to do that. It does that automatically, the hardware, actually. Oh. Just trying to think if I should set the default here for what it really should be, or whether I should do that in code. I think we can just hard code it. So I shouldn't have deleted it. So it's going to default. Defaults to pattern 2. No, that's wrong. That. No, it's correct. Do we need one for legs 2 as well? Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's all good. Oh, yet another thing about what Ped said has now hit home, where the relative thing doesn't mean a lot anymore because we can't be relative to this. Like, we can't just do +1 of this. So it starts at 2 and 3. But then it has to be changed to 4 and 5. It can't just be +1 of it. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's try and put that into the code and see if we can make it make sense. Yeah, so that's fine. We only need to compare the 1. We also want to do actually, it is just going to be +1 of that, isn't it? Pretty sure it's always going to be just one more than that. Do you know what? Let's try something sneaky. So I just inked it and then loaded it into legs 2. When we set the idle frame, that's a little bit different. Well, no, I mean it needs changing because it's wrong at the moment. So that just sets legs 1 to be pattern 2. Yeah, we can just ink A and load it into legs 2. Now that will set that'll mean that the zeros, these two were 1s, and we've now made them 0s by doing that. But if you look at the code down here, that's the same, and we never noticed it. But let's just see if it works. No, but at least we didn't get the legs on face. See if it reaches here. Okay, it reached it once when we were on the floor. When we hit the floor. Oh, I know why. It's getting set to the jumping state by being in the air. Okay, thanks. I'll check that. Because of course you could just add like offset for wherever the anchor wants to start, but it's going to add a confusion bit in it, like another layer of confusion on every load. Yeah, it's getting set into the other states by the way our code works. That's what's happening here. So we don't have an idle state before, and I've just hacked it in there. It's not working. Where's it gone? Look, this is what I need to do. There'll probably be enough. I'm not going to bother doing that. That is a good way of doing it though. Let's read Ped's message a sec. I was thinking of making the legs the anchor. I did mention that actually. That would have worked very well. I mentioned that a few times, but then I thought, well, I first want to try and get it working with the anchor here. But I definitely think having the legs as the anchor would definitely work a lot better for this project. Yeah, I probably will delete the player class soon and just write another one. Although that's a bit brutal. and unnecessary. But I was gonna put into there properly the idle state, and then only set the state here, and then have an update for that state, and then call it update the animation in that update loop. But maybe there's a better way. Just like, let's just force it not to jump at the moment. Yeah, so look, the way it works, it was only checking that whilst I'm walking. So you can only become idle when you're walking, which makes sense, yeah. But when we're falling through the air, we're not walking. Yeah, it does. The table makes amazing sense, Ped. I'm going to do it for my next version as soon as I just want to see this work, basically, and then I'm going to go and do that. And the way I've just figured out what the problem is. Like I said, I wanted that else idle state there, but really I want it as a test, just straight up there at the top of the update loop. And don't do anything else. Here we go. That looks... He at least done it one time there. Let's get rid of the breakpoint. Because the problem is not... Well, it didn't animate it. I just want to see if that's what leg he's got down now. Same leg. So it seems like it hasn't done anything actually. The table way seems a heck of a lot better. Yes, it's constantly idling there, but does not change in frames. Just want to see if it's ever getting to here. Yes, it is, but it seems to do that every frame, so that's probably the reason. CP4. That's weird because we set it to 2 here and 3. But we're only worried about the first one. Huh. That actually looks alright to me, the numbers. Starts at 2. So if it's a 2, then it's going to go through to here. If it's a 4, it sets it back to 2. Did seem like that breakpoint's getting hit every frame though. No different. So if I put an NZ there, will it ever be a different frame? Still the same frame. Number 2. It would be a shame to not get it working, just even the idle anim. Tomorrow I'm going to come back on with it done as a table like you suggest. I'll do my first iteration of that. I'll do it in the daytime tomorrow. I feel like doing the breakpoint to see the values, but I just know what the values are going to be. It's going to be a 2 when it gets to here to check it. No, it must be a 4, mustn't it? For it to become 4, it must have got to there though, some point. Alright, it does get to there. Why was A 0 then? It was 2 when we added 2 to it. Oh no, that's alright, yeah, it is 2. Cool, I'm glad the disk loading session yesterday went smoothly in the end. Because I'm always head scratching, you know, taking 2 steps back. Does it ever become 4? It's 2 this time. And this time it's 4, so it is changing as expected. That was nice to see. Oh, the disk load, yeah, yeah. That was actually. Because I thought that could take weeks. When I was first looking at it by myself. But now I think I could make it quite a complex save data in this much the same way. Seems like it's getting changed back to 2 here. Like before we give it a chance to actually stay at 4. It shouldn't though, because it should call out once and then draw gets called later from within here. Update, draw. Sometimes I do just have to stare at it to see the problem, actually. I know people find it weird that I work in that way, but try and follow it in my head. Quite often it does work in the end. It's really just such simple code. The function should be really simple. It's just selecting from either frame 2 or frame 4. Of course we need to ink it twice as well, because there's 2. There's 2 patterns per. God, yeah, what's going on here? Wait there. I think it is just 1 ink. Just going to write the number there. So it's 4, 2. We're adding 2 here. And you can ignore that because we mask it out here. Zero, 1, 2. Yeah, see, that's why it's 2, 3. They're the idles. Legs is again a stupid name because they're always legs that move, so it should be idle. It'll do for now. Unfortunately, we don't use the actual labels. They're just there for convenience. Should probably label them with numbers. So we've got it pretty much right. It's 4 for legs 2A, 2 for legs 1A. But now I'm pretty sure we do want to add 2. That's not going to fix it, surely. No, and I'm surprised it didn't make any errors, like or glitches. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be coming back with a big rework on this. All of these variables will be just part of a table, like a lookup table. I haven't quite worked it out in my head how I'm going to do it, but I've got a little bit of a rough idea. It'll just relate to a frame number and an animation state with a number given to it. Or it could be a constant with a name, you know. Wine and dinner time, good for you, man. Enjoy. Nice one, Micro. I'm going to keep at this until I just want to see that animation working, and then I'll probably do the rest tomorrow off air, like, so I can think a bit clearer. Two, 4. I can't get my head around why it doesn't work. No matter how many times I look at it, because it gets it equals 2 the first go, so it bypasses that, changes it to 4. But then once it's 4, it then does call that, it jumps to it, changes it to 2. I mean, I could try adding that on. Stabbing in the dark now. Something's worrying me, and it's the fact that it's not making any difference whatsoever. Ah, yeah, right, we've sussed it. All this stuff, which was an optimization, this is the initializing of sprite. In fact, let's copy it all. Shrink it a little tiny bit. It's annoying like that at the moment. So all of that initialization, because I'm not an expert, as far as I know, we're going to have to do that every frame now, because we want to update the other ones. Before we were just changing it relative, and the relatives were following along because they were relative on the pattern number. Oh, where's the actual draw routine gone? Yeah, and then here's the one we do every frame. It only deals with the anchor. But when you write to these next threads with the relatives, you have to do it in order. So we're going to have to do the one here that doesn't actually ever change. Let's see if it finally... Right, now we've got some bug, but at least it's moving. And I think the bug is because I added that thing that I didn't need to add. That there. No, that's even worse. Now it's just flickering on and off the visibility. So that definitely did need to be there. So that's the visibility bit there. It seemed like the offset was getting a bit skewed up. So one more look. So we see the same pattern repeated. That's the actual problem there, isn't it? For A and B. God, that's the init sprites one. Where's it? Actual draw. Putting that at the top. Strange, yeah. I thought I was going to see a 1 there. Just out of interest, if we change that to 1. It's exactly the same. So it seems to me legs 1 is now okay, but legs 2 isn't. Just going to double check. Pretty sure it's correct. Yeah, it is. That's mind-boggling. I'll try just with 1 ink, but that's not going to work. I want to see what it looks like. Oh, it does. How does that work then? Ah, I'll tell you how that works. They are relative still, so I was handling them not relative there by adding 2. So because they're relative, if you remember, it only goes up in 1, so relative 1 is 1. Relative 2, oh, you can't see it now, but it is 2. There you go, the last 2 at the end. And then this one will be 3. So they do go up in 1s. Finally we're there. Molehill and mountain come to mind. Not quite sure why they're going so fast. I think I commented out the timer. He's still pretty fast. It just says cool, it needs to be cool NC. So if the timer prepare, wait, that's not even the animation timer. What the heck do we use for the length of a frame? Frames per frame. Frame time. Okay, that looks about right. Just once every 2 seconds. So that's good, that works roughly as expected. So if we want 25 is going to give us 2 times per second, isn't it? I'm not sure if it's right or wrong. I think our timing system is a little bit our wait for, we robbed this out of some code, but wait for raster line, I don't think it's like super duper accurate, I'm not sure. Alright, that's roughly the right speed. But I'm not going to go any further making him idle when he hits the floor, but the reason being is I need to write this state machine a little better. So I'd need to create the way I would do it anyway is to create another update loop for idle. There's no point jumping out of here when he's idle. May as well just do it from here. It's pretty easy, to be honest. Let's keep the naming convention going. So now you just have to make sure you set it to idle when you want it to, like here we're setting it to idle. But I think it's not going to work fully correctly because our code at the moment is either jump or walk. Didn't really allow for another state to come in. But this might fix it. just by doing what we've done here. Let's just try that out. So you should be able to fall now. Do I comment anything else out? That's not going to work. I won't uncomment that right now. Alright, I will be surprised if this works, but it might. Oh, it does. That's good. So let's fix the collision quickly. So I've got check grounded, and I've also got check collision jumping. Check collision jumping obviously checks when you're falling. The grounded one is for when you're already you're already in the walking state. Again, not great naming. It's not great naming, but here's where we take the Y position of the player. It's in meta tiles, so it's in 16 pixels is 1. So to move him down, all I actually have to do, it's a bit counterintuitive this, but if I change that to 6, should find, probably want to change this to 6 as well. Should find he can just fall that extra bit further now. Oh no, it hasn't made any difference. Ah, the snapping will probably be something to do with it. Although I thought I set this up just to snap to the nearest cell. Oh, look. I'm checking 2 width. So I've done it twice. That might be the reason. Yeah, there we go. We can no longer move either at the moment. We can chuck hammers, but for some reason the graphics are glitched. Oh, I deleted the sprites, didn't I? That's cool, because this game actually has hammers in it as well, doesn't it? So we can put them back in and get them working properly. They're not proper, but they're pretty close. So we can reuse a lot of our code here, actually. Just freed up a lot of sprite memory having Wonderboy instead of Caveman Ninja. He looks like maybe a 4-bit sprite as well. Maybe I should try and learn how to do that. Not sure how many colours he is there. Nah, let's stick with a 256 colour. Yeah, well, it's been another slow session, but we've learned quite a lot. We were looking at PED's code earlier, and we learned about local labels I've remembered, and chevrons. You know, I can't really think of it now, but you could do something like that. And it moves the value 1 6 bits to the left, you know. There have been times where I've wished I knew that. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but the colour of the 48K spectrum is the key one, like the attribute byte of that. Really, anything where you've got bits inside of a byte, like what we have with attribute 3 and all that, you know. If you want to just set that 1 bit, it's a brilliant way of doing it. And the local label thing, wow, that's gonna, next time I write code from scratch, it'll be much cleaner because of that. So exciting stuff. I'm definitely going to get on it tomorrow just alone. I'm going to do a table of attributes, so animation should become much easier to code because we'll just pre-define it in data. I'm not going to even attempt it right now, but it'll include like a constant for the name of the animation state, and then it'll have a number for where the frame starts, etc. You know, just like what we've just done there, basically. But yeah, enjoy your wine and your dinner, Micro. Everyone else, great to have you with me. Ped, as always, thank you for the help. And yeah, tomorrow night, hopefully I'll come on with that progress made. I mean, I make these promises and then I change my mind the next day and don't do anything, but we'll, we'll wait and see on that. Anyway, take it easy, fellas. See you soon. Bye-bye.